Alright, so in this video we're checking out the Skyzone Steadyview X receiver module. So this here is set up as a ground station module, and you can take the module out of here, this little case, and put it into goggles. It does come with different faceplates or covers for the receiver module for various different goggles on the market, and there's 4 of them here. Anyway, in addition to the module itself, you do get an omnidirectional antenna, a patch antenna that goes on here, and then you have a power cable here. This is like a barrel connector to an XD60, and the battery voltage is 2 to 6S, and then you have a video audio out here. You use this little audio out cable, plug this into here, and then plug the other one into your goggles or some other video monitor to see the video in here. And the pinout on this is the same as a Fatstar goggle for both sides. That's how you get video out here. And then obviously you can also connect this up to a DVR, which is what I did for getting the video out of here. I connected it to a Immersion RC PowerPlay DVR to record the sample, which I'll show you. And I'll show you a little later in the video and explain what I compared it to. So the main difference here between Steadyview and Steadyview X, I think, is just the fact that it comes with this screen and the fact it has a scroll wheel that you can change the channels and bands and settings via that, and this OLED screen, whereas the previous, obviously, just regular Steadyview does not have a screen at all. You would actually use that in your goggles. Here, for example, here is the Skyzone Sky04X. And that's the Steadyview module. No OLED screen, and you actually change your settings via the goggle menu and the scroll wheel and buttons on the goggles. Additionally, they're adding ELRS or Express LRS backpack functionality on this one. So there's a Express LRS backpack inside here that you can connect and bind to your Express LRS transmitter modules, like this one here. This one from Beta FPV, the 1 watt micro module. This one has the Express LRS backpack function in it. Not all Express LRS transmitters have the backpack. So if you go to, there's a page on the Express LRS support site that will list all the ones that are supported, and also shows up in the configurator as well. So if you're wondering if yours is supported or not, go to that link. It'll be in the video description, and you can find out if it's on that list or not. Now, supposedly in this updated version of hardware, some of the, I guess, weird black screen and rolling video problems, I think on version 2 hardware of Steadyview hardware, it seems to be fixed in this version. Now, the version of hardware I have is version 1 hardware, so I didn't really have issues with that. And I heard that it's only with certain cameras. So I don't have the version 2 hardware, and I don't have those cameras, so I can't compare this to that particular hardware that was having some issues. I definitely know it exists because I've seen some people have that problem. It's just that I don't have that hardware to show you any kind of comparison. So what you're going to see later in the video is a comparison of the version 1 hardware to this, and I'm going to be using the diversity mode in that instead of the mix mode. The mix mode is where you have that, I guess, the best image performance, where it takes the 2, I guess, signals and blends them into like a better image. And I'll show it to you side by side. It's not a huge difference. I'm able to fly no problem on diversity mode anyway. Of course, if you're having the rolling screen, blackout screen problem, that's different, and that's probably not flyable. So this is obviously going to be an upgrade. Also, if you're just looking for the upgraded hardware, the version 3 hardware with the Express LRS backpack functionality that comes in this, they do have a upgrade board, and this one here is the it says Express LRS version 1.1 on there. That's the backpack. That's the version 3 hardware. Now you can get just the board without the Express LRS functionality. I think it's cheaper. It's like $25 or $35. If you get the board with the Express LRS functionality, it comes to be $90. So yeah, it adds up quite a bit more to the price if you get the Express LRS functionality, and I'll show you how that works here in a second. You can see it's a single board. You can see all these pins here. I actually didn't upgrade this yet because I wanted to show a comparison of the old hardware to the new first, but essentially this is the same hardware that's inside here. So basically you have to take the module out and take there's some glue on the sides, take that off and pop this top board off of there and then replace it with this one, and then you get the new functionality. I believe you have to upgrade the firmware of the goggles to the latest firmware, not the firmware that's on the receiver module. The firmware that's on the receiver modules for this one here, the expansion board and the Steadyview X, is already current, and at the time of the recording of this video, there's no listing of updated firmware on the download page. So if you're wondering where to get that, it probably will show up on that download page, which is it's on the Skyzone support site. So I'll link that as well down in the video description. No need to ask me where that is. It'll be down in the video description. You can check that later. At some point, they'll probably have updated firmware for the receiver modules at some point, but at the time of this video, it's not there yet. Now, for upgrading the board here, you have to upgrade the goggle firmware, not the receiver board firmware, because that doesn't exist yet. So you have to make sure you have the right firmware version for the right hardware that you have for the goggles. So I think there's 3 versions of the Skyzone 04X goggles. If you have the other versions of their goggles, like the Eachine 030 or the Skyzone 030 or the Eachine 300E or something, whatever the Eachine version of this goggle, they're going to have different firmware, and you have to make sure it matches with the hardware that's on here. I've heard that in some cases, if you flash mismatched firmware to the goggle, it sometimes takes and then nothing happens, or it takes and you brick the goggle. So check the hardware version, and you go to the menus and check the hardware version in the menu and download the correct version before you upgrade this. Otherwise, you could have some issues. And then if you do happen to brick it, I think you have to contact Skyzone support, and I believe you have to send it in for repair. So be careful when you upgrade your firmware. Alright, so just a quick look at the module itself here. You just have a USB-C port. You can power this by the USB-C port, and that's also the same USB-C port that's on this board here. That's for firmware upgrades in the future, and it'll also power this module as well. But I believe if you actually want to use it to receive video signals, you have to actually power it off of the barrel connector. That'll actually function correctly. A large fan here, I have it turned off right now in the menu. It's on by default. It's been on for a little while. It does get, it's not super hot or anything. It does get warm, but yeah, that cooling fan is there to cool down the components. Obviously, that'll probably help with longevity of the components. This basic function here, you have your screen, you have the antenna A, antenna B, and the signal strength on those. Also your band and channel, and also what mix mode you're using. And then go into the menu, long press the scroll wheel. So you can do a search if you want to search for whatever your signal is. Nothing is plugged in right now, so I'm going to go ahead and cancel that. You can select your different mix mode here in the next menu. So it's on the default of mix 1. If you don't like that look, you can try the other ones. There's mix 2 and 3, or you can have mix mode off, which will default to diversity mode. I honestly haven't noticed much difference between 2 and 3, or these 3 different versions. I think it might depend on what camera you're using. So if you're having some issues, try one of the other 2 other mix modes here and see if that helps you out. Antenna selection, just click on here. You have diversity, or you can just go to one or the other antennas if you just want to use one only. Stabilize time, obviously here, basically I think it's how long it takes to get a lock where it will sync the 2 images between the 2 different antennas. So you can change that time here. So in Osd mode, this just changes the information that's on the OSD on the screen. So you can choose between lock, RSSI frequency, lock plus RSSI, lock plus frequency, or just lock or off altogether. Menu style. So basically, I think menu style 1 is black and white, and style 2, which is what I'm on right now, is color. Here's the fan setting. You turn it on and off. So turn it on here. And I'm not sure if you're able to hear that. Let me bring it to the microphone. that's what it sounds like. It's not super loud, but yeah, if this is on your goggles, it might be kind of annoying. Calibration menus, basically, once you've locked onto a signal, it'll calibrate that signal strength, and you probably want to do that when you first get this. The ELRS menu, so basically that's the backpack. So you can actually turn it off if you want to save power if you're not using it. I have it on right now. You want to click on upgrade if you want to upgrade the firmware on that, and that'll switch the port there, so you can upgrade the firmware via that. And then there's the bind. So if you want to bind this, you click on that. And so once you've selected bind in the menu here, you just do the same thing over here on the Express LRS Lewis script, hit bind, and then it'll bind up, and then you'll have a connection. And then if you want to change your band and channel here, you can do that via the VTX administrator menu here. You go here. Okay, so let's change this to Fat Shark 1. And then before we hit send to VTX, we'll see what channel is on. This one is now on R8. And we should be able to click on send to VTX. And you can see it switched over to Fat Shark 1. So I'm not sure how useful this function is, because obviously this will be on your goggles, and you can always just easily go into the scroll wheel here and just change it to whatever you want. Here's just like just using the scroll wheel like this. So yeah, it's a nice little trick, but I'm not 100% sure how valuable that trick is. Obviously, you don't have to take your goggles off. You can leave them on your head, and then you can just change them via the Lewis script. I'm kind of wondering if this is also available in the Betaflight OSD menu. That'd be kind of cool. That means you don't have to. You can leave the goggles on your eyes and not have to take them off your face at all. But yeah, it's a cool little trick, but like I said, I'm not sure how particularly useful it is. I will put a link in the video description to that page that explains how the backpack function works and which modules are compatible with it, etc. So go to that link in the video description if you want more information about that. Anyway, that'll cover for this video. Links down in the video description to everything I talked about. I'll talk to you guys in the next video.